let's go to career. So what was the first job coming out of school? Was it associated with the, international affairs?
Yeah, so as you don't know this yet, so this is a fun fact. This no one really knows this it's not online. LinkedIn doesn't have that. I was a UPS package handler.
Say what?
I going down, right? I'm an undergraduate degree, my master's degree, knock it out in 4.5 semester, 4.5 years.
Okay.
And then I graduate, and it's the winter of 2014. And I'm at home, I'm interviewing for different jobs. And I was like, I'm back home with moms, I'm hanging out, eating good cooking, and all stuff. I'm like, all right, I gotta figure this out.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, what allows me to interview during the day and also study it for whatever I need to study for? And there was a few different things I was looking at, just making sure I was staying up and up. And I was interested in the financial industry. So I was, all right, let me start studying for my CFA, right?
Sure.
And at night, so essentially there's this package handler job. You can go into the facility. Every area has their UPS facility where all the 18-wheelers come in,
Right.
open up their doors and unload all their boxes, right? And this is like right during the holiday season. This is like honey baked ham, yeah, all the good stuff. I was like, all right, let me do this.
Okay.
And so I joined it. So I would wake up at like 3 a.m. and shift would start like 3:30, and shift would be done about 7:30. So it'd be 4 hours of just honestly lifting up heavy boxes out of 18-wheelers, taking them out. And that's what I had, right? And during that time, I interviewed and got the gig with Bloomberg. And UPS actually did want to extend me for full time. I was a seasonal worker. They said, "We like you, Carl.
Right.
You can come back with us in the spring." I was like, "Actually, I'm sorry. Like, I'm not gonna run, but I want to be a data analyst, man." But it was great, honestly. And those are the type of jobs that I think every individual should have at some point in time in their life. Typically, it comes a little bit earlier, but it's a different type of work and mentality, right? And my job is so much easier, even my worst days,
Right.
because a lot of it's just on the mental tax, but
Right.
it's not the physical.
Right. So, wow, man, that's cool. Well, shout out to UPS.
Yeah, right. Great. Packages on time, right? At least when I was there, I don't know now. But it was good.
All right. So after UPS, you said Bloomberg was the next
Bloomberg.
job.
So
Okay.
yeah, so what's on the LinkedIn? So Bloomberg. So I got the job with Bloomberg. So Bloomberg has had and still does, I believe, entry classes of data analysts. And so I was a data analyst. Entry class is about 25. They have a campus in central Jersey. And so I was there with 25 individuals who had also just graduated from undergrad or graduate schools. And we started in January of 2013. And so you kind of go through the ropes with them. I ended up on one of the data teams, kind of supporting a lot of the analytics that come on those Bloomberg terminals. So for many of you, you've seen, The Big Short, any of those financial movies, they have those keyboards that have all the colors, right?
Yeah.
And so we're the basis behind those keyboards. And so I was making sure that the mutual funds and hedge fund data was updated on the terminal. So I'd be reaching out to contacts within the industry and
Okay.
also doing some analysis on the back end to see what insights we could pull to help our Bloomberg reporters discuss what ETF went off and why and what's the undercurrent there. So it was exciting. That was the first 2 years before I moved up to Boston and joined Wellington Management.
Wow.
There.
So you're like the behind the scenes guys for Bloomberg.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Giving all the data and all the intel and collecting whatever they needed the spur of the moment. I can imagine that was stressful.
Yes. Yeah. And because they're honest, yeah, absolutely. And then part of that job also, of course, is taking, client calls and reach outs. And you might have a trader that's coming up and saying, "Hey, I need to confirm this price. This is looking off. Like, what's quotes?" And we're kind of working with the exchanges as well. So
Right.
there are some times that there were some serious time crunches as well.
Right.
And you might be juggling multiple different conversations at the same time.
Okay.
Loved it. It was a great experience and actually informs a lot of what I do now in my client services and investor relations and capital raising role. Right.
True.
I find sometimes our first jobs, once again, are sometimes the most difficult.
Yeah. So then you move. Okay, that was in Jersey,
I was in Jersey.
and then you moved to Boston.
I moved to Boston for a girl.
Say what now? What now?
Yeah. That's how it goes, right?
Let's start.
We're
We're getting to the juicy part.
What? All right.
All right. So what happened with that?
Well, she's my wife now, so we're
Okay.
clapping that down here. Good bet, man. Good bet. So it worked out well. And so ultimately, I met this amazing, awesome woman at Penn State, and so we stayed together throughout Penn State, and then even after. So she was a year older than me. So she left Penn State a little bit earlier. Ended up in Providence, Rhode Island, up in New England. I was looking for a job. I was looking for jobs and ended up in Bloomberg couldn't pass up that opportunity. And so we did long distance for a while. But when I proposed, it was time for me to make my way up. And I knew Boston had some good opportunities up there in the financial space as well.
Yeah.
And I love New York, but I want to experience some time up in Boston.
Okay.
So I would do the commute from Providence, Rhode Island up to Boston every day, but she had her job in Boston.
How long of a commute was that?
About an hour and 45 minutes one way. Yeah, door to door.
Okay, so you've had some commute experiences as well.
It was real. Yeah. But it was good, right? Because it's all about taking advantage of what you have. So I had over 3 hours every day. And what I do with it, I studied for the CFA. And then I realized the CFA wasn't for me. And then I was like, you know what? This whole thing is great. I love real assets. I started learning a little bit more about real estate and gold and some of the different economics in there. But I also was learning about like Black-Scholes models and looking at like, pricing for options.
Right.
And I was like, I'm not about this life. Right. This is not something that's interesting to me. It was to some of my colleagues.
Yep.
So with that, I started studying for the Chartered Alternative Investment Analyst. Okay. So I got my CAIA certification and realized I wanted to go into real estate with the next role after Wellington Management. Also, while I was at Wellington up in Boston, Wellington Management was a great shop that I worked with up there for a couple of years. And I worked alongside the CMBS teams. And so I was looking at collateralized mortgage obligations and on the back end, helping kind of reconcile some of our data there too, still on the data side of it, not on the front end, on the trading side. But I loved it. I was like, these are so interesting. We'd have these OMs coming through for these huge developments, and to see something come from nothing to something, I think many in the real estate space, they have that same kind of if there's tangible, something tangible about it, where you don't find that with a basket of swaps. Was that right? So,
Like, no offense.
like just reality, like different things.
It's just not for us, right?
Yeah.
Different strokes for different folks.